Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. I don't know about you guys, but I have a feeling it's mutual. I'm just over the moon this weekend. I got a little bit of an extra hop in my step, and it must be obvious why. It's this Trump-Bobby Kennedy coalition. The moment Bobby Kennedy walked out on that stage, when Donald Trump announced his presence, I frickin' jumped out of my seat. I was clapping my hands so frickin' loud, I startled the neighbor's dog. I'm just elated. It feels like we are witnessing history. A based political coalition. Two different sides coming together to stand on the right side of history, to stand against the wannabe fascistic activities of the left, a Kennedy endorsing a Republican to save the nation from the Soviet rebranding of the left. It doesn't get any better than this, folks. Let's celebrate this momentous historic event. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so it happened, and obviously it was just as epic as you might imagine. I'll play the clip here, but we're probably gonna have to cut out some of the audio, because the music's copyright and the Foo Fighters are throwing an absolute tantrum.
I don't think too many of you people have heard of him. He's very low-key. He's a very low-key person, but he's highly respected. He is a great person. I've known him for so long. For the past 16 months, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And he deserves it. He deserves it.
It's just so cool. I really don't know what else to say. It's just cool. It was a cool moment. It makes me hopeful that maybe we could start healing these political divides. You know, finally we have left and right meeting in the middle, willing to work together. The ideological divide has simply become too much these days. It's team sports. Everything's become so black and white. If the other side does it, it's bad. If my side does it, it's good. So many people subscribe to this way of thinking, but I find that mentality, frankly, a little bit counterproductive. Sometimes it's okay to extend an olive branch, and sometimes it's okay to be open to different ideas. You know, personally, I don't have an issue with ideological diversity. Now, I'm not saying that half of Trump's cabinet should be filled with Democrats, but having a couple Democrats present in important positions, it's not the end of the world, especially if they're common sense Democrats and they're put in a position that's appropriate. I'm not saying put Bobby Kennedy in charge of economic policies, but on the issue of investigating the alarming rise in chronic illnesses affecting the children of America, why not? I don't have an issue with any of that. If somebody from the opposing political faction is raising points of concern that we ought to be talking about, then we ought to have that conversation. You shouldn't disregard good ideas just because they come from the opposite side. You know, maybe this sounds crazy to you, but sometimes some Democrats say some pretty helpful and useful things. Certainly not all, not the majority, but you know, there are some good Democrats out there that represent an older, more classical liberal view, and the reality is we actually have a lot in common with some of these Democrats. In fact, I'd argue we have more in common with a lot of these classical liberals than we do the neocon warmongers. Am I Bobby Kennedy's biggest fan? Absolutely not. Do I think that he should be the president of the United States? Absolutely not. I don't agree with him on economic issues. I don't agree with him on his healthcare views, his support of a carbon tax or a gas tax, his support of abortion pretty much all the way up till 9 months. I don't agree with any of those things. He has a different philosophical view than I do. But when it comes to the health of our children, when it comes to holding corporations accountable who are poisoning us, absolutely I agree with him. And so if you're going to put Bobby Kennedy in a position that's tackling those kinds of serious concerns and issues, why not? I genuinely think this is a good thing. In fact, you could already see the Democrat shills starting to panic, just like they were a couple months ago. You know things are going well, you know the Trump camp is onto something good, when the Democrats are essentially trying to mirror it. Joe Biden's favorite strategy, plagiarism. Donald Trump announces that RFK Jr. is going to help lead a panel investigating childhood chronic illnesses.
And I also want to salute Bobby's decades of work as an advocate for the health of our families and our children. Nobody's done more. Millions and millions of Americans who want clean air, clean water, and a healthy nation have concerns about toxins in our environment and pesticides in our food. That's why today I'm repeating my pledge to establish a panel of top experts working with Bobby to investigate what is causing the decades-long increase in chronic health problems and childhood diseases, including autoimmune disorders, autism, obesity, infertility, and many more. We want every child in America to grow up and to live a long and healthy life.
And then immediately, former Democrat presidential candidate Andrew Yang tweets this: I think Kamala Harris and the Democrats should immediately announce a panel to investigate the spike in chronic diseases and conditions among children these past years and invite different figures to participate. This is a big issue for millions and could easily tip the election. Complete and utter panic. Obviously, Trump is onto something if Democrats once again are trying to steal the policy, except, I think Andrew Yang hasn't got the memo that his political party is the one trying to implement universal health care, essentially subsidizing the treatment of all of these chronic illnesses. Now, why exactly would that political party want to solve the root cause? They want to continue to subsidize the problem rather than attack the cause. Where some people look at diabetes and obesity as a plague that the nation faces, Democrats, of course, opt for a different view: fat acceptance. And taxpayers, of course, footing the frickin' bill. The Democrats would never genuinely tackle an issue like this. They want people sick because that means more taxpayer dollars funneled through their healthcare systems, where they get to dictate the prices, they get to do all the communist-style price controls they want. I don't know where this Andrew Yang hopium is coming from, but it's exactly that. It's hopium and copium. They're freaking out, folks, because Donald Trump is actually managing to do what they have failed so miserably at. Again, right back to the point of unity. Democrats talk about unity, but every time you turn on the TV, every time they open their mouths, it's always another below-the-belt political attack. Meanwhile,
after the assassination attempt at Butler, I got a call from a safe food advocate named Kelly Means, who's been fighting for many years to try to end the corruption at CDC and FDA and USDA. And these institutions, these regulatory agencies, are actually run by the big food processing companies, the big ag and the chemical companies that they're supposed to regulate. And he said to me that he'd been advising me for many years and on my campaign. And he told me that night that he was also advising President Trump. And he asked if I would talk to President Trump. And I said, of course. And about a few minutes later, I got a call from the president. And we talked. We had a very good talk. And then he invited me to come see him the next day. And I went to Minneapolis and saw him. We met again a couple of weeks later in Florida. And we talked not about the things that separate us, because we don't agree on everything, but on the values and the issues that bind us together. And one of the issues that he talked about was having safe food and ending the chronic disease epidemic.
Actual unity, the type of stuff that could heal a nation. They told you forever that Donald Trump is ripping the nation apart. He's tearing the very fabric of the nation. In fact, it's plainly obvious that this ticket represents the exact opposite about what the Democrat fear-mongering tells you. This is the anti-censorship ticket. It's the anti-mandate ticket. This is the anti-corruption ticket. I mean, the list goes on. This ticket, I believe, represents the values of the majority. Democrats are the crazy, green-haired psychos on the college campuses screeching at the top of their frickin' lungs. And Donald Trump and RFK Jr. are the two dudes having a productive conversation at the bar. They may not agree on everything, but at least they could have a beer, have an honest conversation, and try to meet in the middle. This is the ticket that represents America. I don't know, honestly, I find it a little bit hard to put into words, but I just have a good feeling. It just feels good, it feels right. We've covered some pretty spectacular stuff on this channel over the last, 5 years of doing this. And I gotta say, this moment, well, it's up there. It's up there with some of the craziest and some of the best things that we've covered. It's time to take on the corrupt establishment. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and hopefully you're as excited and happy as I am. If you did, and if you are, then make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.